Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my The Last of Us Remastered Grounded difficulty walkthrough. And we are on chapter 3, also known as Billstown, and this is part 2 of that chapter. So this first section is a fight divided into two sections. The first one can be stealthed, and then you will get to a trigger point that triggers a second wave of enemies, which is a bit more skill dependent, because they will be aggro as soon as they enter, and you can stealth through it. But we start off by taking down one of these guys with our trusty old bow. Great weapon. And I'm gonna wait for this infected guy over by the school buses to make his little route and come back, because I will choke him out. The strategy I use for this first section is, as far as I know, 100% consistent, and you should be able to copy it no problem at all. So we take him down and we wait for the next one to get in the position we want her to. It's a bit of a waiting game, but that's how we roll. If we want to take it nice and slow and don't have any problems, sometimes you're gonna have to wait. So she gets into the position we want her in, and we sneak up behind her and do the old aggressive man cuddle thing to take her down. She has a little spaz. Consider it a mercy killing, because these people are suffering. So if you're a bit on the more human side, see it as a act of kindness and mercy. So we're waiting now for another guy. I'm not quite sure why I'm sitting there. I think I'm waiting for another infected. Yep, I can hear him moaning. Here he is. Exactly on cue. Big, quick arrow to the back, and he goes down. So the second part of this fight, which we'll soon get to, you will reach a trigger point that triggers the second spawn. And my best tip for it is that as soon as you trigger it, which you will do when you get past these two school buses, is start running over to a car, which I believe I will do, as I fail miserably at getting him in the back. There's a slight delay when you fire arrows, as you could see there. And there's the trigger point, and you start running. So shotgun blast to the chest on that guy. And sometimes Ellie and Bill can end up in trouble, as Ellie does there, and that can present some problems. But a quick gunshot takes care of that, and up on this truck is a great vantage point, because you can see the area, you can aim in on them, and they can only reach you from the roof on the police car, which is next to this truck, and that means you can bottleneck them if they go for you. On my run, they seem to be more focused on Ellie and Bill, which kind of puts me in the clear. Sometimes that happens. If you remain passive, your NPCs will take care of most of the fight for you, and the enemies will aggro towards them. And that can be considered kind of coward's way out, but it can also be great to use that as a kicker off the roof. That was kind of brutal.
How do we get inside?
So after the fight, loot through the enemies, see if you can find any ammo, which I did. I try not to rely on my guns too much, as you have seen up to this point. I try to use stealth takedowns, because I don't want to do too many strategies relying on having a certain amount of ammo, because I want it to be as excuse me, as consistent and easy to replicate as possible.
Thanks, Bill.
So we get up onto this school bus, and I run around a little bit. Have to get your exercise. Exercise is good for you. It keeps your cardio up, your muscles strong, and gives you the advantage when you try to run away from fungus-infected
We
people.
just need to get to the hood of the truck.
So we get up and down on the other side,
They're coming. Move it, kid.
and this triggers another spawn of enemies.
We're gonna get in quick.
But if you're really fast, you start running directly and head around this corner and go for this window. Wait for... I think that you can open it if you
Come on, Bill.
climb up on that vent.
Window's open. Hurry.
Or maybe you have to wait for Bill to do it. But the thing is, you don't have to kill any enemies if you're really fast. Just climb up, you trigger the cutscene, and you're safe. Just watch this little intense moment. Yes. She gets a blast to the face and goes down like a log. And now we're inside a school. I tried to find a way to stealth this section, and I tried lots of different strategies. I was stuck here for God knows how long, but I couldn't find any. So the start of this section can be stealthed, as you see me doing, but sooner or later things will kick off, and that's when your skill comes into play. You can try to do it as I do it, but when you're in against aggressive enemies, you know, there's always that RNG factor, so try to adapt to the situation, think on your feet, and you will persevere and conquer this section. So I shank a clicker. Very satisfying to do that. And ooh, gave me a shotgun round. Also, when you pick up ammo, try to instantly reload your weapon, so you get that bullet or that shotgun shell or whatever it is in the clip, so you don't end up in a situation where you have maybe 3 or 4 bullets, but you have to start it with the reload animation, because sometimes you pull out your guns because they're right in your face, and if you have to reload before you fire, they will get you. And as I mentioned in a previous video, the infected are blind to your flashlight, so I'm not quite sure why I haven't turned my one on, or mine on, because watching this preview and trying to narrate, it's pitch black. I don't know what it will look like when you see this on YouTube, but right now I'm more or less staring at a very dark screen. So this is gonna be a little bit of a blind commentary, but I think I'm quite sure on how I did this. And this is where things start to kick off. There comes a clicker, there comes a runner, I get struck, and I decide to bring out the big guns. So I bash her skull in, because I don't want to waste a Molotov on just one enemy. So I want to group them together, try to get as many of them in the path as possible, and hopefully the clickers, which I was quite successful in doing. I took out 2 clickers with that Molotov, which to me means that it wasn't wasted. And gonna hope for... no, thought Bill would take him out, but I guess I'm gonna have to do all the hard work as usual. So that was the second wave of enemies, because when you get into that classroom, or you get near the entrances, there are a few enemies when you begin, as you could see, and when you get into that classroom you trigger another spawn of enemies, and when we get past that classroom we're gonna trigger a third spawn of enemies, which consists of 3. So there's a lot of bodies to count in this fight. So I run around trying to scavenge once more. Always check through the corpses. I've said it before, and I know I may be sounding a bit naggy, but it's very important. As you will know if you follow this guide and you're playing through Grounded yourself, that it's very important to look through everything, because sometimes your fists or your stranglehold will not suffice and you will have to resort to firepower.
Looks like there's a path down this hallway.
So here are the last 3 enemies, and I bring out my good old bow, I think. No? Ah, right. I was getting quite annoyed at this point because, like I said, I was here for quite a long time and I just wanted to get past it. So take 2 people down with a shotgun and bash the head in of the last one. And we're coming up to a boss fight, so while you're still in this corridor, because we're gonna open a door and trigger the boss fight, so make sure you've reloaded your guns and made any supplies that you're capable of making, as I try to do, and also make sure you have your strongest weapons equipped. As you can see me doing, I have 1 shotgun shell and I have 3 bullets for my rifle, so I'm going to choose the rifle. And we go into the boss fight, which I call Uggo, and you're gonna soon realize why.
Alright, ready? Come on. More on the way. Barricade the door.
I always hated phys ed in school.
Guess they're gonna hold it for long.
This didn't make me like it anymore. And here comes Uggo. This is a bloater. As you see a little transition there. This is the last stage of infection, when the cordyceps fungus has covered your entire body. He throws spore bombs at you, and if he catches you, he will instantly kill you. A great strategy to take him down is to throw a Molotov and a shatter grenade, because that will take him out instantly. I throw a Molotov to soften him up a little bit. And I don't like using the shatter grenades because they have a delay on them and they work as proximity mines. Because when you throw them, they are passive and they will not explode until an enemy gets close to them. And I find that quite unreliable because you have to try to get the grenade in front of the enemy and hope he walks close enough to it to trigger it. But down he went quite fast, actually, faster than I could remember, and that is a lot to do with the Molotov. The Molotovs are amazing. They are the best bombs, and as you can see, the room where he came from is a room with some loot in it, and we're gonna try to get out of this place. So use Molotovs if you can, use a shatter grenade. If you combine them, he will go down as fast as humanly possible. And you have to kill these 2 enemies, which I think is quite stupid because Bill could just grab your hand and pull you up. But I get 2 for the price of 1. And there's the 3rd one. And here's the last enemy we're gonna have to fight here in the gymnasium. Ellie tells us she hates those things, and so do I. And so will you. So, we reached the bleacher, I think it's called, and climb out of the school. School's out, as Alice Cooper said, and do a quick bit of looting, and here it's time to start legging it. I made a little mistake, because I ran over there looking for loot. If I had started running towards the exit directly instead, I could have skipped fighting him, and when you get down here, just head for the ladder, start climbing up, and you will be safe. You saw an enemy running into my legs trying to grab me, but he can't catch you since you're on the ladder. And this is the last part of Billstown. We have gotten a car, and we're gonna try to push it down the hill so it will start. This fight can go on for quite some time, and there are a few things to know. There are some bricks around, there are a lot of enemies. I think there are 3 or 4 waves of enemies as you push the car down the road. And Bill can be really helpful in this fight. Also, he can be completely useless, as in all instances of this game. But a few things to remember. Always make good use of what I call the merry-go-round move. Kite the enemies around the car, around poles, bushes, trees, whatever. But don't stray too far from the car. Stay quite close to it. I was at the edge of what I felt comfortable straying from it. Because if you run away too far from the car, you'll see an animation of Ellie getting killed by an infected. So stay quite close. Hopefully Bill will be a bit more useful than he is for me, because he seems to be shooting at that clicker with the shotgun version of a BB gun. But sometimes he can own up and be very useful. As I mentioned in my last video, I think he can kill a certain percentage of enemies. And if you wait long enough, hopefully he'll take down the clicker. Come on, Bill, we don't have all day. Shoot it! Or stab it. Thank you. That's about time. So we push the car a little further. You can't push the car down the entire hill without fighting enemies. You have to stop to fight them. Here we have wave 2. And as I mentioned before, when you're facing off against both runners and clickers, focus on the runners first. They have that name for a reason, and they are like the Olympic game versions of zombies. They will run until next week. And the clickers, they're like that douchebag guy in a mosh pit at a concert. They just walk around waving their arms. Don't care about anyone. So as you can see, I am almost constantly running. That is a great way to tackle this. Stay mobile, don't stand still, and pan the camera around you. So try to cover as many angles as possible, or else someone may sneak up behind you if you're unaware, or yeah, this can head south really fast, and it is a long fight. As you can see, I think it's almost half of this episode. And if you die at the last infected, as I mentioned before, there are no mid-battle checkpoints, so you're gonna have to restart at the beginning of this battle, which I had to do once or twice because I was sitting here being not aware enough of my surroundings, unfocused. I think I was listening to a podcast or something at the time and not paying attention. You can be a bit more aggressive than I am, because I'm a bit stingy with my bullets, because the next chapter consists of a lot of battles, so I'm trying to conserve my ammo. But you play as you wish, because if you run out of bullets, the game will spawn in more bullets for you, you'll find more bullets. If you save your ammo, you will not find bullets. That's the conditions of grounded mode, keeping you at a very low level of resources at all times. So I try to do some economy shooting, gang them up together and fire a shotgun blast, and hopefully you'll hit maybe 2 or even 3 of them at once. Not necessarily killing both of them, but at least softening them up, and hopefully Bill can finish the job. And when it comes to pistols, you have a revolver and a semi-automatic. I hate the semi-automatic. I love the revolver because it packs quite a punch, but the semi-automatic is a complete waste of time, I think. Only I use it when I'm not in any immediate danger, because the revolver is a one-shot kill on ordinary enemies, even on grounded mode, and the semi-automatic takes 2 bullets. So try it, use it for headshots, or if you know that an enemy is really low on health. And I think this is the last enemy, and I seem to be running out of patience. I can't understand why I'm not firing, as Bill gets in my line of fire, but he takes down the last clicker, which is great. And the car starts, and you have completed chapter 3. We're at the end of the chapter, and we're at the end of the episode. So I will leave you now, and I will see you again in the next episode, which will cover the first part of chapter 4. So thank you for watching this walkthrough, and until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.